For your Caesar. Cardiff City, ride with me for your Caesar. For your Caesar. Cardiff City, get litty for your Caesar. She want a diff boy. Swagger 1 point, yeah, diff boy. She want a diff boy. Swagger 1 point, yeah, diff boy. For your Caesar. Grab a little something for your Caesar. We the geezers. Swagger stone cold like freezers. She want a diff boy. She want stabs, not Fitzroy. She want a diff boy. She want stabs, not Fitzroy. She want a big man. Says she want a man from...
Good evening and welcome to Cardiff City World. Don't adjust your sets. I'm not Simon. Simon, unfortunately, is not very well, so tactical substitution, and I'm making an appearance from the bench. So, Si, he's supposed to be in bed, but he's probably tuned in to watch the start just to make sure I don't mess anything up. But if you are tuned in, buddy, I hope you're feeling better. Turn the phone off, get your head down, and I hope you feel better in the next couple of days. So, yeah, we told him to have a rest, and that he shall. So the plan of attack for this evening, only a quick half an hour, but you know what I'm like with my timings. They never seem to go to stick to plan, but that's the plan. Quick half-hour breakdown. We're going to try and follow suit and do something similar to what Si does. Cover 5 points from the game yesterday, and then we'll kind of open up the questions and things to you guys for the last 15 or so minutes. So the first thing I really wanted to cover from yesterday, obviously, is a disappointing result. And when obviously me and Reece done the podcast last night, the 1927 club, we was probably still riding the wave of mixed emotions. So I think we've had a bit of time to, kind of reflect and look back. And I think the biggest thing for me is, let's not hit the panic button yet. So bear with me. I've got some information that, or some points that I want to cover. You can, by all means, comment in the chat, and I'll go back and have a little look at them as and when we go through. So the first point that I wanted to cover off and make, first one of the 5, is we have to be more clinical in front of goal in that final third. I think we had plenty of chances yesterday to score before they did, and I think we all know goals can change games. If we had taken the lead with a couple of the chances we had before they scored their goal yesterday, then it was a different game altogether. But, it's been quite a repetitive thing that's happened over the season. I know we've got up to this point, we've gone unbeaten. But, we're not prolific goal scorers. I know we've had a couple of, we had a 4-0 win against Plymouth and 3-0 against Rotherham. But we are creating lots of chances, and I think we should be hitting the back of the net a bit more. So that was my first point. We've got to be more clinical in front of goals, and we've got to get our strikers and every player really putting that ball in the back of the net. On that point as well, I think leading up to yesterday's game, there was a couple of games that perhaps could have gone the other way. But we did manage to nick, obviously, a point at Port Vale. And we managed to get a late goal at Wimbledon, Luton. And all of those games, really. Port Vale, I think we robbed them of a point, if I'm being completely honest. But I think the difference yesterday were Bradford were more clinical than the teams that we'd played. The teams that we had played had created chances, but didn't obviously find the back of the net. Bradford did yesterday, and I think that was the difference. So my first point is that we have to be more clinical. So I don't know what your guys' thoughts are on that. Put any comments in the chat by all means, and like I said, I will go back and have a little look at them. I tell you what, before we do that, now that there is people putting comments in there, I'll after point 1, I'll go and touch base with some of the comments. So good evening, Paul. Hope you're well, buddy. Get well soon, Si, says Paul. Graham, good evening. Is it time to drop Salah and give Robinson a start? I'll come on to that later because that's in one of the points I wanted to raise. Graham says, I think it's been coming. If you look at the chances teams have missed against us, we look like we can give someone a hammering, but also look like we could have one. 8-all draw on the cards. Lee, it's a new name. Welcome, Lee. It's only one loss. Let's not get too carried away. On to the next one. 100% Lee. I think it's just that natural instinct in us that we lose a game and we bang straight on the bandwagon, looking for excuses, looking for people to blame, fingers to point at. And I just think I haven't had time to reflect and things. Is chill out. And this is something else I'll probably touch upon a bit later. If we were offered this at the start of the season, I think we would have bit people's hands off after 8 games, I think it is. So let's just take a chill pill, reset, and we go again. And hopefully the players will learn a lot from yesterday's result. And they can take that into not only Burnley on Tuesday, but Wigan then on Saturday. Paul says, areas we need to be better at, like the free kick 10 minutes to go, playing around with it and not getting it in the box. Ruben captain has to make better decisions. 100%, but we touched upon that in the podcast last night, I think, playing this tippy-tappy football at the back when we had 2 goals behind with, still 10, I think it was 10, 15 minutes still to go when we scored. And, we have scored late goals in the past at Cardiff City Stadium. So, get the ball in there, make the most of what we can. I told you he was watching, didn't I? Sending the love back. He is. I think I've sent him the message from the people in the members group, passing on their best wishes. So, yes, thank you for all the support. Graham, how did we shoot over the bar on a wet pitch? Hit it low and hard, 100%. And again, I think it's something we touched upon last night about shooting from distance. And, putting that keeper under pressure. If you shoot and it bounces just before him, those types of conditions, that ball can go anywhere. And it's something, that we got to gamble on, I think. And, if we're shooting from 25 yards, let's gamble that the ball is going to rebound. But it didn't happen yesterday. We've got the defeat now. Let's drive on again. Yeah, the monkey's off our back now. I think it would have been nice to have gone the majority of the season without a defeat. But, it'll be interesting to see now how they react to BBM in training through the week. I don't know if Tuesday really is a great thing, to be honest. I would rather not have a game Tuesday, go straight into Wigan on Saturday because, I don't think we're expected to go to Burnley on Tuesday night and win. But, it could be an opportunity for another lot of youngsters to play. Not too sure how we'll go with it. Let's have a little look what else we've got. Paul says we need to be much better in the final third, crossing it into the box quicker. Instead, we tend to stop and try and get it over the other side to try and cross. So, yes, they Began on corners and crossing. Yeah, a couple of poor corners yesterday. I did like Began yesterday. I thought he played well. But a couple of deep crosses that come to nothing in the end. And I think we said last night about, the crosses that we are making are kind of floated in. They're not whipped in. So I know Salek had a few opportunities yesterday, a couple of headers. There was no real sting on it, was there? Stu, good evening, buddy. My worry is that some players didn't keep their feet on the ground. Lawler's comments about annihilating the league pre-Stockport were ludicrous and silly. Since then, 2 poor performances. Wake up. Yeah, it's a fair comment, but it's a fair comment. I look at it on the other side of it and think, they're confident. You need a bit of arrogance sometimes. But again, like I said, you need to keep grounded. Take one game at a time and see how it goes, because it's a long old season, especially with all the cup games and virtual cup games and that we got to play now. Let's just take you one game at a time. But I totally get your comment. Get well soon, Si. Keep smiling, pal. Hope you're all well as well, Marganesh. I know obviously you weren't there on Friday at the CAV event. I know you've had some difficult times with a work colleague, but hope you're okay, buddy. The most travelled man in Cardiff, Mr. Jamie Anderson. Good evening, sir. Hope you're well. He says, I was one who was probably frustrated after. Brushed it off, get on with it. Let's enjoy a free hit at Burnley before a huge game at Wigan. See you there, Bluebirds. He's the most travelled man in Cardiff, without a shadow of a doubt. What a commitment he makes to go with his wife and his daughter. Brilliant, but they love it. But Ashley Baldwin, hi, I'm new to the chat, even though I watch regular. I agree with Graham. Just hit the target. Jamie is chatting on all platforms tonight, X and YouTube. A couple of people in welcoming Ashley in. Burnley have Man City on Saturday. Can't see them going strong on Tuesday. You'd think, though, even if they don't go full tilt, they'll still be a strong second team type of thing, won't they? Gavin Kelland, hello Bluebirds. Does anyone know if Connor Roberts still plays for Burnley? Not even going to pretend to know or care, if I'm completely honest with you, Gav. I'm not going to lie. Thanks, Matt. I'm sad, but I'm good in myself. Up the Bluebirds. Good lad. Right, point number 2 then, off the list. Looking back and having time to look back at some of the games, some of the moments of the game yesterday. I definitely think Bradford were a lot more hungrier than what we were. In my opinion, we lost too many 50-50s and duels. I thought the referee, I'm not going to go into slating the referee because it's not the reason we lost the game. But again, still this, a lot of 50-50 calls where there was a free kick early in the first half. And I think that Tommy Lee, who scored the first goal, had a free kick and that just fizzed past the post. It was never a free kick. And just silly little things. And, that can affect momentum during the game when you're not getting the rub of the green. And I don't know, I know we've all talked, and we've talked on this podcast in the weeks since the season started about the referees and, we feel unfairly treated. But it doesn't seem to be getting any better for me. But, yeah, too many 50-50s and duels lost for me yesterday. I thought Joel Caldwell made a difference. It had a lot more energy when he came on. Potentially looking back at that, could we have started with Joel Caldwell? Who do you take out to that midfield then? Would you take David Turnbull out? I thought he didn't have a bad game yesterday, in fairness. Could you play Turnbull and Joel Caldwell together and drop Ryan Wintle? Potentially. I know some people have talked about Osho going into 6 and Chambers. I'm not too sure, in my opinion. But we'll see. But that's point 2. I'll have a little look at the comments and see if anybody agrees, thinks I'm a knob or whatever. But, we'll go dip into the comments. Apparently, Jonathan Mordecai, our resident man of knowledge, very close to Mr. Rhys David Evans, says yes, Robert's still at Burnley. Has he still got a moustache? He's still growing his moustache, John? Macanish says, I wish BBM would have a few different set of tactics. Need to confuse teams by playing more than one way. Again, fair comment. And I think that's something we probably scrutinised managers for over the last few years, is that we only seem to have a plan A. There's no backup plans when things are not going right. So it'll be interesting to see the reaction now. And again, I'm not going to hit the panic button straight away, because I think we all knew a defeat was inevitable at some point during the season. It's taken 8 games. So let's still be confident of the position we're in. Let's still be excited where we are. And one slip up is going to happen, and no doubt we'll have many more between now and the end of the season, but we're still in a really, really good place. And I'm still excited about where we can go. So let's not panic too much. Some comments in there now, so let's dip into them. He doesn't know if he still has his tash, to be honest. He looks like Basil Fawlty. Lee, was it only me, but BBM looked a bit lost and static. Not a lot of guidance coming from him on Saturday. If I'm completely honest, Lee, I didn't notice that. He's normally a bit, kicks every ball on the touchline with them, doesn't he? In fairness, but I didn't. I was more focused on the game yesterday and heading my hands at times. Really, I'll be honest. But it'll be interesting to see if there was anybody else who was there yesterday who had the same opinion. So, if anybody in the chat wants to answer that question for Lee as well, by all means, please do. But thanks for making the point, Lee. Gavin says, play Kellyman up against Roberts on Tuesday night. Bradford fan here, I reckon. You were pecked by the chickens. We definitely were, my friend. Not bitter about it. Best team on the day one. So fair play to them. The supporters were incredible, noisy. Respect to the guys who travelled down. I spoke to a few walking back to the car last night. The one chap said, I think by the time he got out of all the traffic, it would take him about 4.5 hours, and that's driving the car. So those who went back up on the coach would have taken even longer, I'd imagine. But nothing but respect. But, this channel, we'll give credit where credit's due. And, Bradford done us yesterday, so fair play to them. They'll be up there as well as we will be, I think, come the end of the season. So, yeah, we'll see you back at your place. But thanks for tuning in. Right, point number 3, and I think somebody mentioned it a little bit earlier. A lot of people have been mentioning about Salek and that he should be dropped and this, that, and the other. And probably I was thinking probably a bit the same last night, but I think with Salek at the moment, I think we underestimate the amount of work that he does without the ball. He's had a kick in pretty much every game that we played. He's decent with his link-up play and he battles. He does try to win the free kick more often than not, and he does play up to the referee. But for me, I just think our emphasis and our goal has got to be for our wingers to stay wide, which they didn't yesterday. And we've got to whip that ball in with pace, because at the moment, it's just not happening. And we know he scores goals with his head like he did against Stockport last week. If you feed him, he'll score goals, I believe. I thought Robbo made a big difference when he came on yesterday. A lot more energy, looked hungry, chasing balls down. Obviously scored another goal. So that's, obviously with the one against Exeter in the week. And that one yesterday is 2-2 for Robbo. So it's great to see him off the mark, because I think from body language, looking at him, he wasn't happy. And I don't think he would be happy playing, 20, 30 minutes a game, league games. And, for me, I'd want, if I was the manager and I had players, you wouldn't want players being happy just playing 20 or 30 minutes. So hopefully that'll be a start of another run now. Obviously, he was our top goal scorer last season. But it'll be interesting to see what Brian Barry Murphy does now, whether he tries to, play both of them. I don't think he will, but it'll be interesting to see what he does. What's everybody in the chat's opinions on that little point I made? Point number 3. Plenty of comments here. So I'll go back to the comment when you're having to think about the last point I made. I think you have to find a way to get Robbo and Salek in the same team, both quality players. There's no doubt there's quality there. No doubt whatsoever. It's just, I think at the moment we've been a bit inconsistent, and that lack of quality, or whatever you want to call it, in that final third. At the end of the day, those guys get judged on it in the back of the net. And at the moment, they haven't been, on a regular enough basis for me. Paul, really, this is going back to BBM, I think. Noticed on Cardiff City TV, he wasn't as vocal and bouncing on the touchline. Probably in shock. Things just weren't happening for us yesterday. Fair comment. Jonathan Mordecai. I think it would be a massive mistake to drop Salek, personally. Robinson offers goals, but not much else. But we'll keep coming back at us again. Good point, buddy. Jonathan Owells. thought Isaac Davis and Callum Robinson made a difference when introduced. They should have been brought on at half-time. I'd agree with that, 100% agree with that. I think with being 2-0 down, and obviously we went 3-0 down early in the second half as well. A few minutes into the second half, I think it was, wasn't it? I thought Isaac Davis looked dangerous on our left-hand side when he came on. Surely now, in my opinion, I think he's proved his fitness. I would like to see him start in a game, and that's nothing against people who've played on the wings. Chris Willock, Cian Ashford. I'll come on to something about that in one of my further points a bit later. But I just think he's got that pace, that athleticism, and yeah, I just want to see him out there and, wreaking havoc with that pace he's got out wide, because, he scored a few goals as well for us so far this season. Matthew Ashley, it's a young team. We were always going to get bumps in the road, guys. We have to bounce back now, and I think they will. 100% agree with you, mate. It's not always plain sailing. Richard, keep Salah in, but provide the guy with the ball. This is a great comment. I'd bring Mafiko in. I thought he looked decent in midweek against Exeter, in fairness to you, with him being another young player. Just what's crying out for me at the moment is experience. I think Graham Kavanagh said it on Friday night. We've got the ability in the youngsters, but having that natural leader in and around the changing room who's been there and done it could be, not our downfall, but it's, it could be what we're missing. But hopefully the youngsters can, prove us wrong. But, it is a slight worry, really. But only a slight one, because, like I said, I'm not hitting the panic button. Let's not go and worry about it too much. Paul says, can't doubt any of the players' work rate this season. It's difficult when 6 or 7 players have off days. On another day, we score 6, they score 6. Better team on the day 1, no complaints. Fair assessment. Paul, fair play, buddy. Stu says he doesn't see Mafiko in the 6-2. He offers legs and energy, which is something doesn't. And yeah, this platform, we know you're to slate anybody, and I know that comment is not slating anyone. I'm a great fan of Mafiko. Again, he's young. Wintel's got a lot more experience. So I get that. And if I'm honest, I think Wintel's been decent since he's come back. I was very sceptical of it, coming back, knowing what had kind of gone on behind the scenes before he went out on loan. But he's knuckled down, he's worked hard, and he's putting shifts in when he's got that shirt on. So nothing but respect for Wintel for me as well. I just think perhaps we need to mix it up and play different people in that position at times. I think there'll be games where Wintel is more suited, and there'll be time where the energy of a Joel Caldwell or a Mafiko will work a lot better. And perhaps yesterday might have been that, but I'm not getting paid by Cardiff City Football Club. And Brian Barry Murphy is, and he's doing a great job as well, may I add. Paul says, I'd try Isaac through the middle. He's the only one who looks like he'll find the net. So when you say play him through the middle, are you playing him up front on his own? Or are you still having Salak there as a target man, maybe? We'll see. Jonathan Mordecai, when fit, I think Kellyman comes in for Ashford if the form don't improve. Come on to that now in a second, mate, when I go on to point number 4. I think Robinson comes in for Wintel soon, but Wintel has been good this season, 100%. But I think I just must have been telepathically sending me that message, John, I think. Matthew Ashley, I think we will see a few changes next game. Robertson must be close to full fitness. Kellyman has had an hour as well over 2 games. Davis, he looks sharp. I think he will freshen it up. 100%. We did see Alex Robertson going into the Cardiff City Stadium yesterday about 1:45, so it'll be interesting to see if he's involved maybe Tuesday night. Before I move on to point 4 and point 5, I'm going to play the little advert from Bossman, so please stick with us. If there's any further comments you want to put when the advert is playing, please feel free to pop them in the chat, and I'll have a little look at them when we pop back. But I'll be back in just over a minute.
This episode of Cardiff City World is brought to you by Coral, the proud sponsor of the TalkSport Fan Network, here for all kinds of fans. For the armchair experts, whether you're constantly negative, overly positive, or maybe even the instant over-the-top reaction social media guy or girl. For the football fashionistas still clinging to the legendary terrace fashion of yesteryear, or the best retro gear from Michael Thorne. The nostalgia merchants dreaming of the old lady Ninian Park, or still celebrating Campbell's goal in the Millennium Stadium. Whatever kind of fan you are, with Coral's free-to-play reward shaker with a guaranteed daily reward or offer throughout the season, simply shake your phone to win. Over 18s only, maximum one reward or offer per player per day, 8 a.m. till 8 p.m. Reward restrictions and requirements and other T's and C's apply. For more information on safer gambling, visit gambleaware.org.
Back to you in the studio, Jeff. When we're on the subject of promoting things, and obviously the channel gets sponsored by that advert, I just wanted to mention what's coming up at our next live event, which is on October the 24th. Sean Morrison is coming to Splott Cons in Cardiff. For those who attended the Graham Kavanagh night on Friday evening, it was a brilliant night. It'll be interesting to see if anybody in the chat did go. If you did go, please put a comment in and let us know what you thought of it. I thought Cav was brilliant. It was a really good night, topped off by a song from John in tribute to Cav at the end. But the tickets are on sale. They've been on sale to members since early last week, I believe. So if there's anybody who's not a member, the tickets are available now. If you would like to become a member of Cardiff City World / Ace Podcast Nation, you can do it in two ways, or a couple of ways you can do it. You can join via the Cardiff City World YouTube channel, follow the information there. For less than a price of a cup of coffee a month, you can help support the channel, which allows Si to keep producing content 7 days a week. Content by the fans, for the fans. You can also join via Patreon. So you can go into the Patreon app, or you can scan the QR code on the corner of the screen there. Again, for the price of a cup of coffee a month, it's very similar prices, I think, on both platforms. Any support you can give us is great. Like I said, you get access to member shows, which are predominantly on a Monday night. Sometimes it does have to get shifted if, hosts and things are tied up. You also get early access to these live event tickets. They go on sale normally a little bit before they go on sale to the general public. So it's going to be another great event, another great night at Splott Cons, always well organised by Carly and Jordan down there and everybody behind the scenes at Ace Podcast Nation and Cardiff City World. So looking forward to another legend returning to Cardiff. So should be a good one. If you haven't been to one yet, I strongly advise you do. It's £10 a ticket or £20 for the meet and greet, which allows you to go upstairs a little bit earlier than everybody else, which helps you get your seats you would like to sit in as well. It was very, very busy Friday night. So yeah, any questions or any information you want regarding that, please get in touch with us via social media platforms. Email scrolling across the bottom, I believe, at some point. But yeah, it should be another good event to look forward to. Before I go on to points 4 and 5, let's have a little look at the comments. Jonathan Howell says Patrick Bamford is a free agent. I'm not going to lie to you, John. It wouldn't be my cup of tea, and I wouldn't feel, I don't know how I'd feel about it really, but it's not someone I'm shouting or I'd be excited about getting in a Cardiff City shirt, if I'm completely honest. I don't know what other people's opinions are or thoughts are. Like I said, we're all entitled to an opinion, but yeah, it doesn't float my boat, mate, to be honest with you. Paul says, I think Isaac can do both roles, Matt, next to Salek or on his own. Could be a young Ernie, couldn't he? Could be like a Peter Thorne Ernie partnership, or never know. Jonathan says, our crossing has been very poor this season, both in play and set plays. It wouldn't improve with Davis or Robinson trying to get on the end of them against massive centre-backs. Fair point. I don't think it's just been this season, has it? It's been the last couple of seasons. Our set pieces haven't been great, to be fair, and crossing. But things can only get better. And in fairness, Bradford were a big team all over the park yesterday. I thought they had some big lumpers in there. And, yeah, we just couldn't get any loose change from them. What else we got? Richard kind of agrees with me. Sorry, Jonathan, but he's injury prone. Decent a few years ago. Matthew Ashley was agreeing to Paul. Jonathan Mordecai, I knew he'd put some in, I guess. That's quite mild, that is, for John, to be fair. Bamford is awful. Mackinish says, I'm worried about last year's complacency happening again. We need to stay edgy. Yeah, if I'm honest, it's something I've thought about the last couple of days as well, because I think under Risa, we lost the first game against Hull, I believe, Hull away. And then I think we went on a bit of an unbeaten run then, didn't we? Was it 4 or 5 games? And somebody quote me if I'm barking up the wrong tree. And then we kind of slid away then. But, it's hopefully... I think the mindset of a lot of the players that have, are out there at the moment have been completely different to what it was last year. And I think that's something BBM and the coaching staff have instilled in the players. So it'll be a massive test now to see how they come back and how they react. And I think BBM talks quite openly about how important training is regarding selection and things. So it'll be interesting to see how the players bounce back. Paul says Bamford will need a scooter to get around the pitch. Howard says, great night on Friday. Looking forward to the Morrison night, but not the trip to Bolton the next day for a 12:30 kickoff. Hardcore you are, Howell boy. Just go straight through, bud. Straight through. Understand about his injuries, but can't say he's awful. His stats don't tell lies. Markinish says, let's play like River Plate, 3-1-4-2. Comedy from Graham. Trott, Capaccio, Fish, Lola, Bagan, Calliman, Colwell, Mafiko, Davis, Sarach and Robbo. Is that your team for Tuesday night? Or is that your team for Wigan? Another comment regarding Friday night. Cav was fantastic on Friday night, top class. He could tell a story still, couldn't he? In fairness to him. And yeah, it was brilliant. Looks as if he still could play as well, I reckon. Is Salek mobile enough and seemed to get bullied yesterday? He's been bullied every single game, mate, in fairness. Just relax. 8 games in, 17 points with Wigan and Burton to come is a good return. Long season, good start. I'm relaxed. Not a time to overreact, but it's more about the reaction on Saturday. 100% agree with OG Ballers. 100%. Any news on Capaccio injury from yesterday? So apparently he had a issue with his heel, and he was going for a scan. So I would imagine he'd gone for a scan today. Whether they get the results at that on the same day, I'm not sure. Whether it'll be something out tomorrow, but that's what BBM said in his post-match press conference yesterday, that he had an issue with his heel. Thought he looked a bit quiet yesterday. Obviously went off at half-time, so I'm not sure if he picked that injury up before yesterday's game, and it was something he was carrying. I'm not too sure. That was Graham's side for Wigan. Yeah, not a bad shout that, Gray, in fairness, but Jonathan Howells, what do people think of Willock yesterday? I think, in my opinion, John, we've had a bit of a resurgence in recent weeks, haven't he? A little bit quieter yesterday. I don't think he, by far, wasn't our worst player out there. But I think he kind of could have done better yesterday. I think likes to cut inside a lot, doesn't he? Onto his right foot. And I think there was opportunities yesterday where Joel Bagan was perhaps overlapping him, and he could have played the ball back to Joel Bagan for Joel Bagan to whip the ball in. I just don't think we utilise that type of attack enough, if I'm completely honest. And again, that's my opinion. Somebody might tell me different, and that's fine. No worries at all. Emmanuel Dennis is free. If we could get him to drop to League One, 27 can play on the wing or up top. Also, I think we would have beat Burton if we played them the game instead of the international break. That saying, we would still be top of League One after yesterday's loss. We'll get back there, Gav. Don't worry, buddy. Jonathan Arwell says, good news is that Dylan was upstairs with his dad yesterday and he's very positive about his fitness. Yeah, credit to Bradford for stopping us play. Again, I think we had a few people tune in, Bradford supporters. I think one was travelling on the bus on the way home listening to our podcast last night. And like I said earlier, if the team comes down and they beat us, credit to them. We're not going to stand here and slate them unless it's a certain team, but we don't mention them too much on this channel. Yeah, they were better than us yesterday. They got the 3 points on another day. If something had, if we'd hit the back of the net a little bit earlier, it might have been a different game, but it wasn't. And they went away with the 3 points, so good luck to them. Right, let's go back to point 4 and 5, because I was only going to do half hour, and I'm already 36 minutes in, so... defensively, I thought yesterday, I know obviously there was a change in the starting lineup. Gabriel Osho come in to make his league debut. But for me, the first goal was, although it was a great strike, and he did finish it brilliantly, I think that's avoidable. I think we just switched off at the corner and allowed him to get a shot off. There's no other explanation for it, really. We shouldn't be allowing teams with the quality of Tommy Lee and how we can strike a ball, that amount of space outside the box. There's no way in the world. So, yeah, that was an issue for me. Obviously, Gabriel Osho then conceded that penalty, rash challenge, and it was 100% the Stonewall penalty. Can't argue with that. But again, with it being his first league debut, it's kind of can't override it type of thing. But his performance, he looked strong and confident with the ball, carried it out a few times. Will Fish yesterday, I think, is one of his strongest parts of his game this year has been his distribution. That was a little off point yesterday. I don't know whether that's because our wingers weren't as wide as what they normally are. But I felt that was an area that needs improving on. And yeah, just all-round defensive display, I think. I don't think Bagan and Capaccio had enough support from the wingers or the midfield yesterday. I thought their midfield won the battle yesterday. They were a lot, as I said earlier, they were a lot more hungrier, a lot more pace and hunger. So yeah, that's point 4. Point 5 is a little bit longer, a bit more meat to the bone, but we'll cover it all off. But I will, again, dive into the comments before we hit point 5 and see where we are. Gavin Kellen says, it's a thought I've got. BBM don't want us to cross and play into the box. Bagan overlap is a decoy. That's why Willer cuts in. He's told to by BBM. Could very well be, mate. And I think it's something Rhys David Evans says a lot, is that, we try to walk. It looks as if we're trying to walk the ball in the back of the net. And there's a couple of opportunities yesterday where we had opportunities to strike, but we didn't. We're still looking to get a ball out. Yeah, just put your boot through it. Can't see how he was left alone on the edge of the box. Yes, not good, was it? We all thought that the refereeing was terrible in the championship, but my God, this is a different level. Not making excuses, but there was a definite free kick on the lead up to their first goal. Yes. Inconsistency, that's the thing, isn't it? And yeah, it's just not good. It's not good. Right. Point number 5. And it's just going back and kind of a bit of a summary of where we are and what we probably talked about tonight. and the fact that, don't panic. Let's be confident and be proud of where we are at the moment. We need to stick with the manager and the young players that have been playing, continue supporting. I thought, we went 3-0 down yesterday and 3-1, back to 3-1, and the stadium erupted, and there was still 15 minutes left, and I'm sat in my seat thinking, if we can get a goal in the next 5 minutes, there's something still on you. There was people walking out to the ground after 60 minutes, and it just winds me up. I don't know what anybody else thinks. I've probably done it in the past with my boy on a Tuesday night when you got school the next day when we're losing, but I just think so on a Saturday, just stay and show your support till the end. But there was lots of people turning against some of the young players yesterday. Keane Ashford, for example. And I'll be open and honest and probably say I didn't think he had the greatest of games yesterday. But let's not forget, what he's done leading up to that point. He's had a couple of off games. We don't know what's going on behind the scenes. If he's got struggles, he might be completely fine. He's a human being. He makes mistakes. He can have off days like the rest of us. I think he's a massive confidence player. So maybe his confidence has been a bit shot at the moment. So, does BBM give Kellyman a go now? Give Ashford a go from the bench? I'm not too sure. But I think our passing again was sloppy yesterday. But Bradford pressed us high. They put us under pressure. So it was difficult, man. There's small tweaks we need to make and, being clinical regarding being in the final third. And I think we'll be back to winning ways in absolutely no time, to be honest. And, we've played some decent teams. Stockport, we played Luton away. Bradford, obviously beat us yesterday. Wimbledon, so Plymouth, I know they lost again yesterday to bottom of the league, I believe. So, but let's just take one game at a time. Stick with the manager, stick and support the young players, and I think they'll bounce back in training this week, and hopefully for the travelling fans that go up to not only Burnley on Tuesday, but Wigan next week, the squad will do it justice and get us another 3 points, and we'll get the train back on the track, so to speak. Before I dip into the comments, obviously most of you will probably tune into Cardiff City World and Ace Podcast Nation in the past know how passionate I am about mental health. I've had his struggles over the years. He is releasing a video at 9:45 on Ace Podcast Nation, so have a look out on socials for that. So it's not a long video, just a short one, just to explain some of the struggles and things that he's had. Something we're really passionate about on the channel. So if there is anybody out there who is struggling, get in touch, because we can put you in touch with people who can offer help and support. So it's a really important subject. Don't be afraid to reach out. It's important to talk. Right, last couple of comments now before we wrap up. Jonathan Howell says, we all thought that, we've read that one. Refs at this level don't like Salak. Batted every game, nothing getting given, but he's not allowed to breathe in the direction of a defender, or they get a free kick. This is a comment I put to Reece last night, I think. I don't know how true it is, or people think it might be. But do you think he's getting a bit of a reputation now of always looking for a free kick? Do you think that gets fed back to referees at League One level? I'm not sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if it does. Graham says, the way they played yesterday, I almost walked out of my living room. Jonathan Howell says, we have to stick together and remember that this is a very young squad. We will bounce back, but think of the future we have with these youngsters. Great comment, buddy. Bradford done their homework on us, and I think a lot more of the teams will now. This is where BBM needs to have not only a plan A, but a plan B and C. But when he did change it, it seemed to work, but too little, too late. Another good comment. Another Bradford fan tuning in. Thanks, Dean, for tuning in. Bradford fan here. Great day Saturday. I'll be happy if we finish one place below Cardiff. I'll settle for that. Proper club, great fans. Good luck. Top man, Dean. Appreciate you tuning in, mate. I'm not sure if you tuned in to watch the video last night that we done on Cardiff City World, but we did give credit where credit's due, mate. Thought the fans that travelled down yesterday were outstanding, noisy, passionate, and your side done the job for you, which sent you home happy. Unfortunately for us, but Graham says, thanks, Dean, appreciate that. Jonathan Mordecai says, getting kicked in the face, booted in the air or dragged to the floor isn't exactly wrongly looking for a free kick. Right, guys, thank you all so much for tuning in. Very much appreciated. Gone 15 minutes over the time, but yeah, we've all had a good time. Well, I have anyway. Hopefully I've done Simon justice with the breakdown, probably slightly different the way I've done it than what Si normally does, but hopefully everybody's enjoyed it. Just a reminder, the Sean Morrison tickets are on sale now. If you do need any contact details, get in touch. They are all over our social media platforms. I will post the poster back up here, so if anybody wants to screenshot that, if they're interested in getting tickets for the event, great. I would get them sooner rather than later if you can. And also, just to remind you that you can help and support the channel by becoming a member. You can do that via Cardiff City World on YouTube. Follow the information there to become a member. Or you can do it on Ace Podcast Nation's Patreon. You can access that by going on patreon.com // Ace Podcast Nation or scanning the QR code up in the corner there. Yeah, any support is great. You do get some perks. You get access to a member show and also access to things like early access to tickets to these live events. So if you can help support, that'll be great. Stay tuned. The phone-in is back tomorrow. And Cardiff City World on the phone-in. There'll be a member show tomorrow night, 9 o'clock. Myself, possibly on my own. I know we're trying to do as much for Si over the next couple of days to give him a bit of a break. So yeah, member show back. I think we will be doing a post-match reaction show on Tuesday night after the Burnley game. So that'll probably be a late one, about 10 o'clock. So if you can't tune in on Tuesday, tune in Wednesday morning. But yeah, and then stay tuned for the rest of the week. So I will jump in and say the last couple of comments. Paul says, nice one, Matt. Thanks for the show. Cheers all. Ashley Baldwin, enjoyed the show. Thanks. Size 5 things are usually a short released after a breakdown. In the breakdown, he usually chats. Yeah, I'm a bit different, but special I am. Graham says, night all. Lee Heppenstall, cheers, Matt. Some great points discussed. And that's what it's about, mate. We'll all have a difference of opinions, but it's all about coming together, and we like to do it in a nice, appropriate manner, should we say. Like I've said, I'm a big advocate for that. Everybody's entitled to an opinion. We might not all agree with it, but I like to think this channel, we're all fair with respecting other people's opinions. So happy days. But thank you all for tuning in. Much love. No star. Upper City.
Rascal Beats.
For your Caesar. Cardiff City, ride with me for your Caesar.